As early as 1931, with the release of the original film Scarface, Hollywood has been dominated by action films, which have predominantly been watched by a male audience.
Don't you know it's Valentine's Day?
Typically, action films contain men as the heroes. These can include extremely hypermasculine and butch characters such as Clint Eastwood's westerns, or Arnold Schwarzenegger's sci-fi action films.
Knock, knock.
Women in these films tend to emphasize their heterosexuality in this manner as a prize, a damsel in distress, or sexual object. To see an example of this, one must look no further than the James Bond series.
Felix, how are you? Dink, meet Felix Leiter.
Hello.
Felix, say hello to Dink.
Hi, Dink.
Dink, say goodbye to Felix. Man talk.
You did an interview in which you said, it's not the worst thing to slap a woman now and then. As I remember, you said you don't do it with a clenched fist, it's better to do it with an open hand. Yeah, remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I didn't love that.
I haven't changed my opinion.
You haven't?
No.
By contrast, the last few decades have yielded an influx of female action stars, occurring concurrently with the rise of science fiction. The first example would be Sigourney Weaver in the Alien films, which began in 1979, who appeared as the strongest character and female. However, it is interesting because she takes on many male qualities. She is the leader and the strongest of the pack. Additionally, the male normativity of the genre shows through the fact that the heroine is still surrounded by men. Even the enemy, the alien itself, has an extremely male, phallic figure in the way it assaults people to reproduce. Further, despite her being the only one to survive the first film, which was teeming with men and male-seeming aliens, towards the end she is still briefly sexualized by a scene of undressing to show that despite her accomplishments, the fact that she is a woman in film still necessitates her being sexually objectified for her male-dominated audience. Linda Hamilton's role in Terminator in 1984 furthered this archetype when a beefy, extremely male antagonist, Arnold Schwarzenegger as the T-800, came back in time to kill her because she was destined to give birth to a male hero. She is forced to become a violent, butt-kicking woman in order to defend herself from the onslaught of violence headed her way. In doing so, she becomes another woman fighting as a man might in an action movie, alongside and against nothing but other men. Because of this, one might assume that she therefore has taken an equal or equivalent role to her other male protagonists, but again, her female heterosexuality is reminded to the audience when another man then comes back to her time period to protect her and ends up having sex with her on screen. While this plot simplification may seem off-color for disincluding the numerous biblical and contemporary themes that the film tries to get at, it still shows the framework with which a male-normative film industry places on a female heroine. Fast-forwarding away from the 70s and 80s examples listed, another example would be Angelina Jolie in the 2001 film Tomb Raider, where she played as the iconic Lara Croft. This character has an enormous history in video games, standing alongside Samus Aran from Metroid as the only female protagonist of an action video game series from the 80s and into the 90s. Although her character is supremely badass, she again lives in a world where seemingly every other adventurer, bad guy, and monster seems to have a male figure. She, by contrast, staying consistent with the male point of view that the film takes on, is hypersexualized and wears outfits that would be more efficient for a fetish club or a video game convention than for raiding tombs. Incidentally, Daniel Craig, who appeared alongside Angelina Jolie in the film, would go on to be the next James Bond and continue this trend further. Although there is a countless number of other examples, one can see that women have gradually become more and more sexualized since even being included in action flicks as a protagonist. Much more recent action films such as Swordfish, the Resident Evil series, and Sucker Punch continue to push Hollywood further with this trend. Slowly, the industry is creating a phantasmic imaginary of hypersexualized and male-surrounded women, which only reinforces societal views of male-dominated sexuality.